We'll start with Rusty Simmons. Rusty, go ahead.
Hey, Thunder. Spencer just gave us a little bit of an idea, but can you walk us through Saturday night with the scholarship announcement and kind of paint the picture of what that scene was like?
Yeah, so after practice, we were just in stretch lines, and then Coach Shaw kind of brought us up and said that we were gonna have a competition. So he like put us kind of on either sides of the or either one of the two fields. So Spencer was like kind of on the field that the offense was stretching on, and I was on the field that the defense was stretching on, and he kind of lined us up, and I thought we were gonna have to do something crazy like fight or like I don't know what we were gonna do, but yeah, then he was like, okay, there's no competition. We have an announcement, and kind of told the team that both of us had um, been put on scholarship, and then kind of just like celebrated within our kind of like the groups that we were put in. So I think that was the goal, to like separate everyone, to keep everyone kind of socially distant. But it was really cool.
Probably an obvious question, but what did that mean to you and to you individually, and then also to see your teammates' reaction?
Yeah, I mean, I was super excited. That's something I've been kind of working for a long time. At the same time, it's not something like I necessarily have been thinking about while I've been here, just because it's like very out of your control. There's a lot of kind of like smaller goals that I was kind of more focused on, in terms of my own like development as a player, and that's just kind of a nice little confirmation that like I've been kind of achieving those goals. So it wasn't necessarily something that was like always on my mind. Um, but that's kind of along the lines of when I received the scholarship, I got to lead the breakdown after. And I was just trying to communicate to the other walk-ons that like the it's just a label. It doesn't really determine how much you can contribute and what you can do as a player. So although it was like a huge honor and a big relief, um, in terms of my development as a player, there's a lot I still want to accomplish, and a lot that I feel like I accomplished without the scholarship as well. So yeah,
Great stuff. Thanks so much.
thank you.
Next question will go to Troy Clarity. Troy, go ahead.
Thunder, congrats. Good to talk to you. Game week is next week. We finally get into this thing when y'all hit the play and then head up to Eugene. But still a little training camp still left to be done. Kind of take us through what you think the mental state of the team is right now. I mean, you might argue that these are the dog days of training camp through the normal camp. Then again, obviously this isn't the normal camp. You guys looking forward to hitting folks that are wearing different jerseys from you? Just kind of take me through where you guys are sitting right now from a mental standpoint.
Yeah, so mentally, this kind of past couple months has just been weird. Like kind of whiplash of like thinking we weren't gonna have a season until like maybe the winter, and then all of a sudden being back. And I think a lot of us are just really grateful to be on the field. Like, it just felt so good. Like the first practice, being able to go out and hit someone. I imagine that feeling is gonna be magnified tenfold when it's another team and we're allowed to like really do what we want to do out there. And like you said, this is definitely kind of like the tail end of training camp. So I think a lot of us have a really good picture of what our responsibility is, and now it's just tightening down those details, getting everything kind of locked in, getting everything crisp to go in a game week and feel confident to dominate the other team.
How have things gone for you personally throughout the course of this camp? How much do you think that what areas do you think that you've gotten better in over the last few weeks? Where do you still think you need to improve?
I think my approach to camp is probably the biggest change this year. I just felt going in a lot more confident as a player, a lot more confident in my responsibility, and I think that definitely carries over. I didn't even realize till this kind of camp season how much of a role confidence plays in football. Just like the difference when you're going out thinking like okay, I'm going to try to do my job versus knowing okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to make the play on this snap, I'm going to make this play. Like that's just a way different mindset. So for me, it's kind of been this camp has been awesome because I just continue to kind of develop that mindset and just grow in my confidence as a player. And honestly, I think the scholarship is like something that's going to help with that as well. Just knowing like that other people are recognizing that kind of change in my mentality and see that happen as well. So yeah.
Next, we'll go over to Daniel Martinez Crams from the Stanford Daily. Go ahead, Daniel.
Hey, Thunder, thank you, and congratulations. And then you kind of talking a little bit earlier about how it's a culminating moment for sure, but then also it's been built up over a lot of other smaller goals that you've reached. Over the years, what are some of those moments that you've had that really stick out to you?
In terms of like those little goals that I was talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, definitely trying to see the field. Like my redshirt sophomore year, just that was like my goal to get on the field as much as I could. So playing a lot of special teams, um, and then kind of also trying to get on the field on defense was a big one, and then trying to get some like meaningful snaps on defense, like in not necessarily just at like the end of games, but earlier in the game. Those were kind of like smaller goals that I had, and then also just like personal goals in the weight room or in terms of learning the playbook, like making sure like just a goal like know exactly what I'm doing on every single play, know or then after that learning exactly what everyone else is doing on the plays or kind of like that type of thing, just like little kind of like benchmarks that are much more in my control than a scholarship would be, you know what I mean? Because the goal is just to get a scholarship. It's like, how do you do that? There's nothing you can really control, but those little things that you have more control over, like in the weight room, on the field, in terms of the playbook, those are definitely the things that were on my mind more.
Next, we'll go over to Jacob Rayburn. Go ahead, Jacob.
So Thunder, I kind of want to finish with the beginning, which is I believe it's accurate that when you got to Stanford, your football education hadn't started yet. Like you were brand new. Can you kind of walk us through a little bit of what that was like? I have to imagine pretty eye-opening of taking your first steps, so to speak, as a football player.
Yeah. So I definitely hadn't had like the football background that a lot of people had had. I started playing late in my season or in my senior season. I didn't really know much about football, and even then, in high school, they kind of just told me to go get the ball. I didn't really know much about like any plays or anything. So yeah, when I got here, I was definitely like behind the curve, and that was kind of eye opening in the sense there's a lot of like terminology I wasn't familiar with, but I honestly just tried to watch as much film as I possibly could and stay kind of in the football facilities as much as I could to just be around the people who knew more, be able to ask questions and kind of try to understand that. Um, and yeah, again, I just tried to focus on the things I could control when I got here. Like if I didn't know my job on a play, I just tried to, once the ball was thrown, run to it as hard as I could, or like um if I knew I was supposed to, if I did know what I was supposed to do, just try to do that as well as I could and kind of capitalize on that until I eventually felt like I had a better understanding of the game.
Thanks. Congrats, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Thunder. It looks like that's it on the question.